Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the real United States and welcome to Great Falls National Park. We're here in the very northern edge of the state of Virginia, right along the banks of the Potomac River at Great Falls. Now last year about this time you may have seen we did an episode on the upper reaches of the Potomac River, but that was still in between Virginia and Washington, D.C. And while it was very rocky, we explained why you couldn't navigate up the river very well back in the day, or even today. It didn't push the point through of why this river was not navigable at the foundation of our country. Well, I think this probably shows you in clear detail why Washington, D.C. is where it is and why it was not further upstream, because obviously the river was not passable. Now, interestingly enough, later on in history, of course, we built the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal on what is now the Maryland side of the river. And there's a series of locks so that cargo boats could be pulled by donkey or horse up the C&O Canal and move cargo between the Ohio River and the Chesapeake Bay. Now, through this stretch, the Potomac River actually drops 76 feet over a series of rapids that stretch for several miles actually along this area. Let's say a mile. So it's quite a bit of drop, and that's why the need for the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal on the far side of the river, which will incrementally allow boats to raise or lower and traverse and raise or lower. So quite a lot of drop. We usually see pictures of the Potomac closer to Washington, D.C., where it's, flat, wide, and relatively calm. But the Potomac River actually is quite rapidous, whatever. It has a lot of rapids throughout its length. It's a beautiful sight. We're here in November, so the leaves are off the trees. It's kind of brisk, but still not that cold. Now, I understand that something on the order of about 3,600 cubic feet per minute travel through here. So quite a large volume of water. I can actually see if I can get that data and put it on the screen here below, but it's a lot of water flowing through here. Beautiful, beautiful geological formations here. And you can tell that these rocks have all upheaved and turned on their side over the millennia. It's really a beautiful view. We're probably up 60, 70, 80 feet above the water where it's making a bend here. So really a gorgeous, gorgeous setting here. Now, entrance here into Great Falls National Park costs $10, and that's for the whole day. There's about 600 parking places here if you decide to come visit. If you come in the good weather, come early, because you're still going to have about a 45-minute wait. This place gets slammed during the good weather just about all the time. People very eager to come here and see the rapids and see this beautiful park. Now before we leave, I wanted to show you these high water marks from periods in the last century, roughly. And you can see here from the pan we just did that we're probably, again, somewhere 60, 80 feet above the water of the Potomac River. But in fact, during certain years, there was horrific flooding here. And so just before, well, probably about the time I was in junior high school, just before I started high school, that the water would have been like over my head up here on the banks, well above where the river runs down through the valley below. So you can see that in around the time of World War II and just before, there was some horrific flooding, very, very deep. That's got to be about 10 feet above where I'm standing. So another, 60, 80 feet above the riverbank. And clearly, even in recent history, 96 here, we had water that would have been up almost to my waist above the river. So we've had some very significant flooding in this part of the country over the years. And there's no reason to believe it won't happen again. So Great Falls is classified as a class 5 to 6 in terms of whitewater rafting or shooting the rapids. Now, if you're a kayaker or a whitewater rafter, that probably has a lot more meaning to you than it does to me. But this wasn't actually, nobody actually ran through here with a kayak until 1975, believe it or not, and has since then become a very popular place to come and shoot the rapids in a kayak. Now, be warned that it's illegal to enter the river from the Virginia side of the border. So you'll have to enter from the Maryland side on the other side of the river, somewheres along there. Personally, I think that the time of my life where I would have tried that is probably past. But if you're an adrenaline junkie, it certainly looks like it would be, well, thrilling to say the very least. So this is actually Outlook 3. There are 3 outlooks here, Outlook 1, Outlook 2, Outlook 3. We opened in Outlook 1. This is the last of them, the one that's furthest down from the falls, but probably presents the best view of the falls. So probably not the mile I had originally said, maybe more like a quarter of a mile that this drops, some 76 feet. Still a very, very gorgeous, from every place you're going to want to stop to see this. This park actually is on the westernmost end of, well, the George Washington Parkway, although the Parkway turns into another road, and there's a series of parks dedicated to George Washington, and this is the westernmost end of them. So certainly a beautiful, beautiful setting for this. And we have a shot of the plaque embedded in stone, this being dedicated to our first president, George Washington. So it's a very, very cool place. Historically, it's a very cool place to come and relax. A lot of people walking their dogs, walking the trails. There's 15 miles of trails here. Just a very nice setting. So anyway, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Real United States. I hope you've enjoyed your visit to Great Falls National Park here in Virginia. We hope that you'll pick subscribe and come along for the adventure. We love having everybody with us. If you got questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. We try to get back to everybody we can. And as always, thank you for watching.